Okay, let's kick this Beethoven challenge, for which I will definitely curse myself frequently in the coming months, off with the first sonata with an opus number. Before I practice at the piano, I usually want to learn a few things about the piece that I want to play. That means reading the music first. Um, you can spend a long time analyzing form and harmonic development, and everyone has to decide how far he wants to go with this. But for me, I want to get a basic idea about the piece that I want to learn before I start practicing it. That means looking for interesting facts about the history of the composition, looking for difficulties, getting a basic idea of what is going on. So let's have a look. I have here the sheet music for this sonata, and I will mark certain things while I explain. Beethoven has already written three sonatas in Bonn before he moved to Vienna, but he only gave those works opus numbers that he thinks deserved them. The three sonatas written in Bonn are works without opus numbers, but are already very good examples of how Beethoven will develop as a composer. So I will maybe add them to the challenge at some later point. When Beethoven arrived in Vienna in 1792, he was 22 years old and had not composed any piano sonatas for over 9 years. His first set of Viennese piano sonatas was probably not commissioned like the later compositions were, but composed to fulfill his own ambitions and to launch his career as a major composer of instrumental music. So we are looking at the first of a series of three sonatas in his opus number 2. All three sonatas were dedicated to Joseph Haydn, who was for a short time on his arrival in Vienna his counterpoint teacher. His beautiful choice of F minor for the first sonata is noteworthy, for this was an unusual somber key and suggests that he was trying to convey the message that here was a composer with serious intent. So the first movement in F minor has the tempo marking allegro, which means at a brisk tempo. It also has an alla breve time signature. That means there are four quarter notes in each bar, but the beat is on every half note. The music starts off piano, as indicated here, so soft, and it starts off with a Mannheim rocket as the first subject of the sonata. This here. A Mannheim rocket is a fast ascending sequence of notes in the melody voice, which is also often provided with a crescendo. And it usually stands at the beginning of a piece or a musical phrase and acts as a kind of energetic impulse generator, an initial spark of the piece, if you will. The first subject is 8 bars long and it ends on a fermata in bar 8 here. What is very interesting is that throughout the sonata, Beethoven uses almost always three repetitions of important themes, as if he wants to say, how often do I have to repeat myself before you get it? And this gives the whole sonata a very driving and insisting feel. You can see this here in the first subject here until the fermata. So he starts off with the Mannheim rocket, and then he repeats it here, and then again here and here. So it's not even three times, but it's even more in this case. The first subject is followed by a 12-bar transition to the second subject, and in this transition we see a playful use of the motive from bar 2, this here. And we also see a change from an upwards movement that we have in the first 8 bars to a downwards movement which starts next. The second subject starts in bar 21. with the upbeat here. So, and here we can see a free inversion of the first subject. So this here, it starts off here, it goes down. The movement here is downwards as it was prepared in the transition a few bars earlier. In bar 26, here, starts a big increase from a soft playing to a forte in bar 33. This forte is here in 33, so we have a crescendo here. And it's also, the forte is also reinforced with the sforzati here on the upbeats. It's been repeated here in a different key, and we also have the sforzati here. This part is one of the highlights of this movement, in my opinion. In bar 41 starts the coda, the ending of the exposition of this sonata movement, and this one sounds exhausted, but it's still insisting with an unbroken force. Then we have a repeat sign here at the end, which means, of course, that we repeat the whole exposition. Next comes the development section, which consists of 3 parts. The first part starts with the main theme in the key of A flat major. The main theme here, A flat major. And it's modulating to F major in bar 55. So here we're in F major. And here also starts the core of the development section. It develops out of the second theme from the exposition. So it's pressing forward first on the organ point F, and later on G here. Following that with the movement of the motive into the left hand. So it's continuously pressing forward, and at the end is even more insisting with the sforzati in both hands on downwards, downbeats and as well on upbeats. So we have here sforzati, here, here, and then later changing in the hands the sforzati on upbeats as well as on downbeats. So the development section modulates in this section here to the dominant of C that we reach here. And here, starting in bar 81, begins the third part of the development section. So in bar 85 through 88, here, the trills in the right hand already prepares us for the motive of the main theme. So the trills here are preparing what comes next. Here, the motive of the main theme. And in bar 95, here, we just have the motive insisting and pushing forward with every bar, and a crescendo that is notated here leads us back, and then with bar 101 starts the recapitulation of the sonata. So here we have the crescendo to forte, and we're back here with the main theme and the recapitulation of the sonata. In the recapitulation, we have almost the same things as we have in the exposition, which is normal. The second theme is in a different key as is the ending, is also normal. And the ending has an extension compared to the ending in the exposition. Here's the ending. So the ending is here, and the extension is this part. This ending is musically so strong with the fortissimo and the sforzati on the upbeats uh, that it feels wrong for me to repeat the whole recapitulation section. Uh, in the Urtextausgabe, there is a repeat sign here at the ending, and in this edition that I have here, uh, it's not. So it means that not only me feels that the repeat sign is not necessary. So that's why I don't play the repetition when I play the whole sonata. The second movement is a very melodious adagio in the key of F major. It consists of four parts. Part A ends in bar 8 and consists of 2 times 4 bars, ending the first time on the dominant C and the second time back on the tonic F. So I'll start off by calling this part A, and here is the first half on landing here on C, and then the next here we're going back to F. It is followed by 8 bars of part B that also consists of 2 times 4 bars, beginning on the dominant C and then ending again on the tonic F. So here we're in C, C major, and then we're moving back here to F. That's the ending of part B. After this, we hear something different. The melody is different, as is the harmony. We hear a darker mood in D minor. This part is also shorter. It is only 6 bars long and is modulating from D minor to our dominant, which is reached in bar 23, where our fourth and last part begins. So here we call this part C, and it lasts until here. With the crescendo here, we're modulating to C major back, and this is where part D begins. Part D is basically like a cadenza, in which we have embellishments in the right hand over a cadence to the dominant C, and then in the left hand with a cadence back to the tonic F and a repetition of our first part A. So this is all the embellishments here in the right hand, and here we're modulating. We have the cadence to C, and then we have the cadence here back to F. And then part A begins. Oops. We now have, starting with part A, a repetition of all the parts with the omission of part C, the D minor part. And the movement is now a bit faster with 16th notes and triplets, 16th triplets, and all kinds of other embellishments in the melody. And the last 4 bars at the end here is a coda, and it ends very softly here in pianissimo, just a cadence, dominant and tonic C and F. The history of this third movement is interesting. Beethoven decided at some stage to introduce an extra movement before the finale, creating a 4-movement structure: fast, slow, minuet, and fast. This is associated with the more challenging genre of symphony and string quartet, which were already regarded as the leading types of instrumental music. Maybe that's why its notation is very similar to a string quartet. Such a structure had not been used in any of Haydn's or Mozart's piano sonatas, and was a bold idea that seems to signal Beethoven's intent to rise above the norm. A menuet is a piece of music designed for the well-known French dance of the same name. It is usually a slow, measured movement and a noble, graceful character. It usually consists of two reprises of 4 or 8 bars in a 3/4 time, and often with an appended trio. Beethoven, as so often, puts his own spin on this French dance. It still has a dance-like character in a 3/4 time signature. It is allegretto, which means at a fairly brisk speed, so not too fast, and it starts off soft in piano. But the first part consists of 12 bars plus a 2-bar extension. So we have the first part here, 12 bars with this 2-bar extension. The second part, the motive of the first part, this here, starts off in the second part, and it becomes loose and is modulating from A flat major to B flat minor 4 times after each other. And this uncertainty at the end here, so here you have the modulation from A flat major to B flat minor, and this uncertainty is a premonition to what's coming next. A rattling fall of notes in both hands in unison and fortissimo here under this bow. Here the fortissimo. The floating melody from the beginning now becomes a stamping melody without the breaks, and the ending is then again in pianissimo. So here, after the fall of those notes, we have the stamping with the sforzati here, 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 and then again pianissimo at the end. Now comes the trio part. The trio is in the key of F major. The elegant and oscillating trio melody is tracing some important outlines of the main theme from the first movement, from the Mannheim Rocket. So we have here A, B, C, D, so B flat, sorry, C and D, so it's moving upwards like in the first movement. The melody is accompanied by an uncomplicated left hand in quarter notes, and throughout the whole trio we have repeating role reversal of our hands. So at the beginning, the first 4 bars, here we have the oscillating melody in the right hand and the quarter notes in the left hand, and then we have the role reversal where we change the hands, we change the melodies of the hands, and then again the second part starts off with the right hand, and then again here we have the oscillating melody in the left hand. Starting in bar 57, the trio is moving with both hands in parallel to its peak in bar 61, to this fortissimo here. The parallel fourths in the right hand will definitely be the part to watch out for in this movement. After that, the trio closes with almost the identical first 8 bars of the trio here, and then after a repetition of the menuet, this movement ends. So the finale of the sonata is definitely the highlight of the whole composition. It is also the most difficult movement in this sonata. It is marked prestissimo, so it should be very fast. The first theme is in an ABA form. The first part starts here, part A, where you have right hand chords with a triplet arpeggio accompaniment in the left hand. Then here we have part B, 4 bars in A flat major, and then 4 bars of the same motive in F minor. Continuing in bar 13 with part A again, now in G major and modulating to C minor. So here we start G and it's modulating back, oops, to C minor here. Now starts the second theme that first circles around the note G here. We have the same in the same notes here in the right hand of these triplet arpeggios. And then here again around the note G. Then comes a descending melody line that is a free inversion of the ascending melody line in part B of the first theme in bar 8. So this here, that's a free inversion of this part here. After this part comes part A again. So if we move a bit back here, so here we start off with the part A. And here we are on the dominant on C. Yep. And this part leads back to our tonic F. And then we repeat the whole part. The middle part consists of a few bars that gets repeated in different octaves and with slight changes in the melody. The ascending arpeggio here at the beginning is a look back to our main theme from the first movement. Again, it's similar to the Mannheim Rocket in the first movement. This part is like a development section. It is developing the themes and motives of this movement until we are back with the recapitulation of the first theme with the ABA form. So here we have until here this part gets repeated an octave higher with slightly changed melody, and then here it starts off again in octaves, and then here we're back. Here it's a lot of modulate. Oops. Here it's modulating and using the melody and the themes of the different parts. And here we're back with part A in F minor. Similar to the first movement, there is a repeat sign at the end here. But my opinion is that, like in the first movement, the ending is so strong that it sounds strange when you start over with the middle part. So I won't play that repeat sign. Now that we have an overall perspective of what is going on in this sonata, I always listen to a few interpretations of it. This is nowadays much easier than it was a few years ago. Now you can find all the different recordings from the most important pianists on YouTube or the different streaming platforms. When I listen to a recording, I always read along with the music. I mark parts in the music that I know will be difficult, and these difficult parts will be the first thing that I tackle in my practice sessions. So from what I learned by just reading through the music very shortly and not analyzing too much, is that the development section in the first movement will be one part that I will probably practice first, as well as the left hand arpeggios in the last movement, of course, and all of the trills in the first, third, and last movement, because trills are my nemesis. So I have to tackle them at the beginning so that I feel very comfortable playing them. So I hope you got something out of that, and I'll see you soon when I start practicing. Bye.